Because of the following special program, Private Benjamin will not be presented this evening.
And here we are once again. Good evening,
Hello, everyone.
Welcome back. Well, welcome back to Misti Media Live. I am Jay Hartman, the editor-in-chief of this lovely little publishing house we like to call Misti Media, coming to you live from the Misti Media studios in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. Coming to you from an undisclosed location in northern Nevada is my dear friend and author and editor and wearer of 12 million other hats, Miss Linda K. Hardie. Hello, Linda.
Hello, Jay. Hello, everybody out there. I saw Regina was here, and
Gina's
hello,
here.
everybody else
is here. We got some people showing up. Our buddy author Al is here. Nice to see you, Al. We're looking forward to publishing some stuff from him very, very shortly.
Cool.
So all kinds of stuff. I don't know about you, Linda. It's been a bit crazy since the last time you and I got together on the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's been kind of hectic for here too.
Oh, and Ray Tabler's here. Good. Hello, Mr. Ray. Nice to see you.
Hey, Ray.
Ray's about to be a big shot. I saw he's got a post that he's going to be at the I think it's the ALA Association. You're going to be doing a signing, if I'm not mistaken, Ray. Got himself a table, got himself a primo spot there, signing for librarians, and look out, which is awesome.
I got to go to that one time when I was on the Friends of the Library board here, and wow, it was so cool.
So one of the things I wanted to mention, and we'll get to it in a second, is a very interesting comment that I found in an article today from the Authors Guild regarding libraries, which I think is going to make your head spin. If it affects you the way it did me, your head's going to spin. But we can't very well get into today without mentioning a certain promotion for a certain co-host of this show. I am pleased to announce that Miss Linda K. Hardie is now the official line editor for Picarones Press, our children's imprint. Linda will be overseeing the entire line. She'll be finding great books for us to publish and working with terrific children's authors and helping us build that imprint. to bigger and better standards than it is now. So Linda's got a quite the background, having been an English professor and children's book author herself. I'm stepping all over you, Linda. Tell me.
And I was on the board of a literacy foundation / writers group in Central California many moons ago. We put on this great annual writers conference there. I got to meet Harlan Ellison.
Ooh, nice.
And anyway, but we also, the literacy part is we as authors, a bunch of us went into the schools, and generally it was 5th grade classes, and worked with the kids on writing stories. We'd go in like once a week for like 2 months or something and help them write their stories, and then very lightly edit the stories, and then we'd publish them in books. And this is many years ago before
hey Gerald, good to see you again.
All the instant publishing things, and we had a book signing at one of the indie bookstores in Fresno. And anyway, that was such a fun thing to work with kids and to work with writers, and so that was one of the big highlights. And
well, I can't imagine Metal Yellow First Red.
What?
I'm not sure what that means. Okay. Weird.
And here's my very first writing trophy.
Was that for porn?
It was. I got this in 5th grade.
Nope, not for porn.
Nope. My dad was in the Air Force, and we moved a lot. And I started school in Massachusetts, Hanscom Field Air Base in Massachusetts. Started school like 3 weeks into the school year, late September. And the day I started, the teacher says, "Okay, we're all writing an essay on fire safety." And I'm going, what? And okay, I'm a writer. I was a writer back then too. Wrote this essay about how I made sure things were fire safe, and won 1st place for the 5th grade in that entire county.
Nice.
Fire chief took all of us out to lunch, and then the restaurant was next door to a penny candy store. Bought us all the candy we wanted.
Even better.
Yep.
And now you're going to bring all that experience to Picarones Press.
Yeah.
So we're very, very excited about this. So in case you didn't know, we have various imprints here at Misti Media. At the moment, Walt Boyes and his wife Joy Ward, they oversee Nazca Press, which is our science fiction, fantasy, and horror imprint. As mentioned, Linda's going to be taking over for Picarones Press, working on the kid stuff. White City Press is currently our biggest imprint, which is our mystery, crime, and thriller imprint. I am actually looking at the moment for someone to take over from me as the main editor of that imprint, because it's just going to be a bit too much for me. I need to be working on the business, not in the business. And which leaves a couple others, which are Miraflores Nights, which is our romance and erotica imprint, which I will continue to oversee for now, but probably in 2027, we're going to bring on somebody else to take that over. And then that just leaves one other imprint, which I will never let go of, which is Sandra Murphy Presents. We are absolutely going to keep moving forward in Sandy's honor and in her memory with Sandra Murphy Presents. It's going to be the imprint for all the ideas that she and I had come up with that weren't really going to fit in anywhere else in the other imprints. Plus, anytime we do anything experimental, it's gonna go under Sandy's name over there in Sandra Murphy Presents. So her legacy will live on. she was always adamant about, wanting to try new things and experiment with different kinds of literary stuff. And it seems like having that imprint be the source of that is really important. Um,
Yeah.
one of the other big things is that I'm taking a vacation from my day job. For those of you that don't know, I don't actually I'm not able to work full time on the publishing house. I used to be able to do that, but uh, when the previous publishing house was sold and I chose not to stay on, there wasn't any money coming to me from the sale of the business. So started this over at zero, which meant needing to go out and have a full-time job, which I do. So 50 hours a week or so, working on that. And I do the best to fit in all the publishing stuff that I need to do the rest of the time. But I am taking the 16th through the 22nd of July off with the goal of absolutely everything that has been in the back hopper is going to get into production. So it's ambitious. We're looking at releasing somewhere between 20 and 30 titles before the end of the year.
Yep.
And but that is the goal. I have a board here by my desk, and it's a floating chart right now of where every single one of 25 different titles roughly are at their stages in production. So it's gonna be a really, really ambitious second half of the year. But I'm excited. I think we can do it. I know my authors have all said they're willing to help out any way they can. Things really, unfortunately with Sandy passing, everything changed. I mean, just absolutely, it took my entire production schedule and just went haha and flushed it down the toilet, because there were all the projects that Sandy had been working on, and then stuff that I was planning on having her work on that obviously was going to have to come back to me. So I really appreciate everybody being very, very patient, and having the kind, supportive words that none of the authors have gotten upset with me. Nobody's sent me angry emails like, where the hell is my books? Why aren't my books out? I don't ever want to be that publisher that that authors are having to wonder, gee, why aren't my books out yet? But I think everybody can kind of agree that it's been a little catastrophic the past few months.
And you've been very open about the fact that hey, I got this gut punch and things are going to be on hold briefly, but you've been very open about everything. And
I've tried to be. I mean, one of the things I've always promised everybody was that I'd be as transparent as I possibly could.
Mhm.
That and be I own my mistakes. I own I have no problem with that. I just ask that folks be patient. We're kind of a lot of it was is kind of down to me to sort out and fix and get going. So Joe says, do you have enough coffee to keep you going during your week off? So here's the sad part. I am having to go off of coffee for a while because I have put so much pressure on myself that my resting pulse rate has been really bad. And unless I make some drastic changes, nobody's going to have a book out because I'll be in the hospital with a stroke. So
and we don't want that. We don't want that.
That would be one of those things that are called bad. That's a bad thing.
And here I am drinking Irish breakfast tea, talking about caffeine. Indeed. Good stuff. Even though it's Irish.
My husband and I were having a discussion in the car today. We were taking Zeke to the vet, and I can't remember what it was, but I know I had a sort of snappy response to him, and he's like, "You need to go drink coffee." He's like, when was the last time you had coffee? I'm like, 2 days ago, and he's like, "Yeah, you need to go drink some coffee."
A good friend of mine, a writer friend of mine, had to give up coffee quite a few years ago now for health reasons, and when she needs a boost these days, she'll have a little cup of green tea, weak green tea, and then it's ooh, because she's been off caffeine for so long, and the green tea is like, okay, I got stuff to do today, and I'm just feeling dragging. I have a little bit of green tea, whee. So you can look forward to that.
Gerald says, if no coffee, how about a peaceful sour? I wish I could drink. Believe me, there are days where I wish I could drink, but sadly I cannot. So I mean, it's a lot of pressure, but it's really important to me that I do right by the authors, and some folks have been waiting a very long time to see their books come out. And again, everybody's been incredibly kind and incredibly patient, and everybody's offered help, of which I'll be taking up many people on. Folks have offered to help with proofreading and that sort of thing, which I could really use the help. And it's just really nice to have a publishing house where the authors aren't like, why the hell aren't you taking better care of me? They're, the attitude is very much, what can we do to help? And
well, it's because you're not the stereotypical CEO at the top of, okay, how can we pay the authors less? How can we deny them their royalties, but not have it look like we're denying them royalties? I'm not mentioning any names or anything. No, but
we're not mentioning the names of any publishers who are currently only paying their authors once a year and providing a royalty statement that seems to indicate that they sold 3 books in that year's time. But I'm sure there's nothing wrong with the accuracy of that royalty statement.
My first book was published by a tiny little press. It's my children's picture book, lavishly illustrated, beautiful thing. And I got a $500 advance, and then every 6 months I got a royalty statement and a royalty check. I made about $1,500 on that over a couple of years. I was hand selling it, but and the royalty statements were just all very above board and clear. And of course that's why they had to go out of business, because beautiful books, paying their authors enough, and this is 20 years ago. So,
well, I just recently, this is June, so I just sent out the latest batch of royalty statements, and one of the other things I'm very excited about, and you folks will start to see. Oh, that's very kind, Gerald. He says, in reality, you've done more for your authors than any publisher I've worked with. I very much appreciate it. That's very kind. I have created a piece of software. It is royalty software, and it is royalty software for the way independent publishers actually work. And so the royalty statements that I gave out this quarter were all generated using my new software. And I'm happy to say it worked flawlessly. It was absolutely perfect. And all the details are there: where the book sold, when, how much everybody involved in the process is making. There's a ton of transparency in that royalty statement, so there's no surprises to anybody. They know. I think it's safe to say it's probably more information than most authors would get from their publisher, from a royalty standpoint. So the nice thing is, the way that I've written the software, I can now do this for any publisher, and we'll be looking to launch that, because that will bring in some extra revenue for Misti Media, which allows me to do even more things, for my authors.
And someday, at least cut back on the hours at the day job.
Everything is
quit entirely.
No, everything is in service of getting out of the day job and getting back to publishing full time. The new platform is actually called Ask Zeke, and it is named after my puppy. If you're interested, just to look at our crash page at the moment. I'm getting ready to put it in the chat. AskZeke.co. So I've just put in the chat the link to the new royalty software. But there's another app that I've created in the meantime that's also part of the Ask Zeke platform, where on a local level, so it doesn't go out to the internet. On a local level, you upload a manuscript to it, and it tells you the best categories to put it in at Amazon. It tells you the BISAC codes you would need for loading it at somewhere like Ingram. It gives you all the codes you need for 8 other countries that you would see through something like Google Books. Gives you a book description that you can use if you'd like. Also gives you the short descriptions at the correct length for either Ingram or draft to digital. So if you're having trouble writing your descriptions, it does that. It analyzes the market and tells you where to start the price of your book and raise it up to after X number of weeks, and gives you at least 3 to 4 marketing tips for marketing the book. And it does all that from a ton of analysis of the market and market ratings and that sort of thing. And so again, I built it from scratch. Same thing with the royalty software. And so we're gonna be launching those as services. It's a little side project from Misti Media called Gizmo's Laboratory.
Gizmo, yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, Gizmo is my late guinea pig.
The spokespig.
Yeah, spokespig. Yep, our previous spokespig. So Gizmo's Laboratory is going to be launching those items really, really soon. And again, it's going to be kind of an offshoot under the Misti umbrella, but it'll give us a chance to sell some services, and all that money will just go straight back into the Misti Media coffers towards getting salaries going. And hello, Angela. Nice to see you. But it gives me an opportunity to be able to do more. And again, that process of getting me away from the airport, getting living wages for my editors, all that sort of thing.
And I mean, think of what you're doing for all the authors out there at all these small presses, these small businesses, where they can use this software and be able to pay their authors the royalties that they deserve without having to do all that. How many of us in this business are real math whizzes and love charts and well, there are a lot of people who do like spreadsheets, but still, most of it's like,
it really played into sort of like the autistic ADHD side of me, because it was just like, I had to really think through the process of what I go through to generate royalty statements on a quarterly basis. And what I was having to do manually and was taking like 3, 4, 5 days. Thanks to the new software, it took me longer to mail everybody their royalty statement than it did for me to actually generate them. Amazingly accurate. But again, it's that sort of garbage in, garbage out thing. It's, as long as you know what you need to program into it, it's capable of doing currency conversion. So for those retailers that, and not just currency conversion, but I have the option of either, if I've got the data from the date that transaction happened, I can actually have it do the currency conversion for that specific date. Or I can do it for an average over the month, which is how most publishers do it, where you kind of take an average overall of what the conversion would be for the month and apply it. So it does currency conversion too. It's been trained on how all of the royalty statements look like from the retailers. So it knows what a draft to digital looks like. It knows what a drive-through fiction looks like. It knows what a Kindle statement looks like. It even can do all of the Ingram print-on-demand reports and determine returns and all of that stuff. So I got all that programmed in too. Leslie Deal, oh my gosh, so good to see you, sweetie.
Hey, Leslie, hi.
Leslie, one of the best mystery authors out there. So good to see you. Leslie's been with me now for since God was a boy. I think I've been publishing her for something like 15 years. And she's got a new book from us that I'm going to be getting out before the end of the year as well. So she's part of the July 16th crowd. So if you are an author that is under contract with me and you've been waiting, the good news is your wait is over. That week of July 16th through the 22nd, every single book that is under contract that is past due gets into production, and and unlike another publisher that we won't mention that simply rushed the books into publishing without actually editing them or proofreading them, just so they could say they fulfilled the contract. These all will actually be edited and proofread, and they will be all handled professionally, exactly the way they should be. But we're going to catch up so that we can go into 2027. Well, actually, I'm really hoping to just take some downtime at the end of 2026 and then be prepared to go into 2027. Leslie says she's been working with me since she was a mere child and that she loves working with me. Leslie's one of those wonderful people that came back year after year after year for the Killer War Cranberry. When I was publishing over there, we've published so many of her wonderful short stories in there. And I honestly feel like Leslie is one of those like really underrated authors. She's one of those people that just has been under the radar too long. And I'm really hoping the next book we put out for her, people really realize like what a talent she is. I've got books coming from Ray Tabler. I've got books coming from Reich Eastwar. I've got books coming. I still have some short story collections coming from Marilyn Todd. Who else is on the backlog? Leslie's Mystery is coming, and that's a full-length mystery. And then last week, I issued over 85 contracts over the course of 2 days because when Down and Out Books folded, well, the first time, because I guess they're back now in some way, we were lucky enough to inherit Don Barclay and Michael Bracken's works in progress that had not been finished over there, which were a bunch of anthologies. And we are working on slotting as many of those in as we can as soon as possible. I'm happy to say that every single contract for all of Michael's anthologies have gone out. All of Don Barclay's anthologies have gone out. So now it's just a matter of getting them back. And as soon as we have them all back, we start production. Meanwhile, Michael has put together another anthology for me that's coming out this fall for carnival season. That's part of our 50 States of Crime series. And I asked him to take care of Texas. He's come up with a absolute gangbuster of an anthology that takes place at the Texas State Fair. But I mean, this is Michael Bracken. Well, this is Michael Bracken we're talking about, so it's not like the guy can possibly fail because it's just not what he does. He doesn't have that just doesn't happen. So I'm excited to have that coming out too. So I mean, we have so much coming out, but the whole thing, and Alan Orloff, another incredible writer. I managed to get all of his books from Down and Out, and we've already got 2 of those that are finishing up production right now that we're getting ready to re-release. So again, we have a goal of it's somewhere around 25 to 30 books before the end of the year. And there was a time where I would have said that wasn't realistic, but now I know it is. Now I know that I've got enough support to help me if I just ask for it. I've got, John overseas doing our layouts for paperbacks who, God, I love that man. I don't know what I would do without him. He's been so incredibly kind. Michael Bracken and Don Barclay being as patient as they have. I mean, imagine having your publishing house shut down and another publisher willing to take it on, but a publisher who doesn't have a contract created to cover that. The way they were doing things at Down Now wasn't the way we did anthologies, and I didn't have a contract to match. And the first contract I put out, the authors went, because it was ridiculous. It was long and it didn't make sense. And I had to go to Michael and Josh Pachter and you, Linda. I think you had sent me one as well. And I had to look at the contracts and say, okay, how do I make this shorter? How do I make this so it's it's not a turnoff to authors? Because clearly I'm not getting it right. And thanks to kind of being able to take some pieces from what Michael had sent, what you had sent, what Josh had sent, I was able to put together basically a 1-sheet contract for short stories for anthologies. And the feedback was really good. And I mean, again, it's that lesson that, you know what, just because I own a publishing house and just because I've been at it for so long doesn't mean I can't learn new things or better ways of doing things. So I'm
Well,
very,
you know, they say it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to do anything. I mean, that's what civilization is for. We came together so we could work together and help each other. And
I,
that's so you've got a village now.
the
Got a village to
community.
help.
I'm really, really happy about the community that we have at Misti Media. I really am, because it's somehow everybody manages to leave their ego at the door. And there's some people who genuinely, I mean, in my opinion, deserve to have a bit of an ego. I mean, I am honestly surprised Michael Bracken is as nice as he is, right? Like, I mean, he's won.
I heard that from Sandy all the time. Yeah.
Right. Like Michael's won what, like 17,000 awards or something in his time, you know, and yet one of the most grounded, down to earth, helpful, kind, compassionate people. And I'm not just saying that because he's in the chat, but I mean, that's genuinely how he's been to me over the years, you know, and you can't ask for better than that. You can't ask for better than support, but that means that I have a responsibility to turn around and make sure my authors are getting that support, you know, from me, because it's the least I can do when they're willing to do all of that for me. And that's why I think that's one of the main reasons why Sandy saw so much potential in where we could go with this company and this publishing house, and where I could take the authors and what we could do with it, because she knew the kind of people we were bringing in to work with us, and she knew the caliber of people and what those folks were like. And you know what, I haven't run into a single ogre you know, with any of the projects we've done. Gerald says, having worked with both John Connor, and John Connor's our guy in England. He is a publishing house himself, but he does all my formatting for me for ebook and print. I mean, he's just amazing. And Dawn Barclay, who I've known a very short time and have grown to love in a very short time. She's amazing. So, you know, enough about the gushing of everybody, but you know, I know there's been a lot of questions about, well, what's happening, because you know, there's projects Sandy was working on. You know, Sex and Synthesizers was supposed to be the sequel to Sex and Violins, and originally we wanted that out in June, and then of course, you know, Sandy passed, and then it was about trying to figure out, well, where did she leave things, and at what stage was she at when, and I. You know, unfortunately, her notes aren't particularly clear. You know, I have access to, you know, obviously because it's a company email, I have access to her email folders, but, you know, not everything is in there that to help me figure out what needs to be done.
She carried a lot of it.
Yeah. She was quite cerebral in that way. And some of it was because she was always afraid that she wouldn't get the credit for something. You know, which had happened to her before, other people kind of taking credit for the work that she had done.
Imagine that.
Yeah, go figure. I can't imagine that ever happening to anybody.
Right.
but you know, the authors, yeah, Lori says she was always saying her computer kept eating things too. Yeah, her computer was a mess. I kept telling her, you gotta get your stuff off that computer before we lose everything. So she had a couple of anthologies she had been working on. Sex and Synthesizers was one of them. The Great British Bump Off, which we ran into a problem with that one, getting it out, because two of the stories literally used the characters from TV shows. So it wasn't like they weren't like just kind of impersonating, and it's definitely would not fall under fair use of like parody. And so I've been going back and forth with my lawyer trying to figure out, how do we bring this anthology out? You know, do we rewrite these stories? You know, do I get the authors to rewrite the stories? Do we drop those particular stories? So Great British Bump Off is one of those ones that I just don't have a resolution to yet, because I got to know what the legal standing is to be able to release it. I mean, there's incredible stories in there, and it's a shame because there's only 2 stories that are the issue. But I got to do it right, you know, and I don't want to tell an author, gee, we're not going to publish, you know, I don't want to tell anybody we're not going to publish the anthology because of 2 stories. There's got to be a workaround, and I'm not going to take any for it. So again, when you're working with an attorney, you don't always get the answers back as quickly as you would like, and it's just to keep from me getting sued because God knows. Michael says, give the authors a chance to rewrite. If they choose not to, bump their stories. Yeah, I know that's the solution. It's the personal guilt thing of like, well, I really hate to make them do that, but then again, I've got the other authors that are, deserve to get their stories out there. They've been waiting a long time. So I'm just gonna, if I can't get an answer from my attorney here in the next week, I gave myself through July 4th. And if I couldn't get an answer by July 4th, then I'll figure out some other way to move forward with it so that everybody isn't waiting any longer for that one.
Yeah, I really love my characters.
Your story's great. I mean, all the stories in it are really terrific. I don't publish stuff I don't like. So, and Sex and Synthesizers was a critical one for me because I need that for the Miraflores Nights imprint so that we can get that one. Because I think the first book, I think we did Sex and Violins either under Sandra Murphy Presents or we did it under White City Press. And I can't remember which one we did offhand, but the idea there being that we wanted to get that one that originally was supposed to be under Miraflores Nights. And so that was a surprise hit. And I don't want to, I really want to get that one out there, but it looks like half the authors got edits and then half didn't. So, I've got to go through the rest of the stories and figure out what else we need to do.
White City.
Okay. Yeah. So, and meanwhile, like that, all that's not enough. The entire website is getting redone on the back end because we're needing to pull all the imprints under the main Misti Media website. Because when we first opened, there was an issue with our IP addresses. At some point, somebody reported Misti Media. This was before I owned the domain. Somebody reported Misti Media as being a spam site. And so every time we went to go promote a book on Facebook, for example, if you tried to put in a Misti Media URL, it would reject it. It would say, you can't use that. It's not an authorized site, blah, blah, blah. So from the beginning, we had to split all the imprints out into their own websites. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to promote anything. And that's why there were no books actually published under the Misti Media name in the beginning, because we had no choice. We would have had no way to promote them. It's taken a long time, but I've managed to get that cleared. So now it's time to bring all those imprints back home under one umbrella. So people will be able to visit the Misti Media website, but there'll also be drop-down menus for each of the imprints, and then the store will contain everybody. So you'll be able to shop in just one place instead of having to go to multiple websites.
Yeah, I go there sometimes, and it's clunky. Going, oh wait a minute, no, I don't want this.
Yeah,
I go back to the other one, and
yeah, it's definitely not the best experience. So I've got the layout all done. I'm working with my web guy on that. Some of it I'm going to end up doing myself just to save money, and some of it I'll pass over to him to do. Our goal for that is to be able to launch that in the fall. I don't have the bandwidth to work on it myself right now, but I also don't have the money to be able to go to my web guy and just be like, yeah, do it all. So
yeah, really.
So on top of everything else, there's the there's the website overhaul that has to happen. We gotta get the website up to speed. It's growing pains. We are further ahead at this point than my previous house, Untreed Reads, was at this point. So the growth has been staggering for how fast.
You came into it with all the knowledge from that.
I guess that's really true. Yeah.
You've also got the community, the village, helping you out.
So I mean, things have gone much faster growth wise with Misti Media than they did at Untreed Reads, and with that comes growing pains. We're not a large organization by any stretch of the imagination. I think people think that there's probably like 12 or 13 people working behind the scenes or something, and they don't realize that you're brand new, you know, to Picaroni's Press, you haven't even started yet. You know, Walt is, you know, I wish I could say I was paying Walt a wage that would let him, you know, retire and all that, but you know, we're a small press and we're not at that point yet, so he's got to be doing work elsewhere too. And like, that's the extent of it. Like, that's us. You know, it's basically four people who still somehow managed to keep growing everything. You know, and then, you know, Sandy had been a real integral part of all of this, and you know, not having Sandy just meant, okay, how do we get all this done now? And Sandy would just absolutely kill me, you know, if I let anything happen to the company. You know, she would absolutely come back from the other side and throttle me with my life.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, we had so many late night talks about what we wanted to see from Misti Media and what we wanted to do for the authors and the things we wanted to try and the things we wanted to build. And we're so much further along down Sandy's and my path than I ever thought I would be at this point. We really are. I mean, it may not necessarily look like it from the outside, but it's.
I think it does. I think it does.
The growth has been really, really crazy. And I've given everybody, you know, I gave Linda and I gave Joy and I gave Walt the same instructions, which are, we don't say no. You know what? We say we'll figure it out. So, you know what? If somebody brings us something really great, an agent comes to me with a project, a publisher needs to close their doors, you know what? We're not going to say no. We'll figure it out. And right now, Histria is in the process of canceling a lot of contracts. And those contracts were all people that were with me at Untreed Reads. And I have said to all of them, the answer is yes. I will take you in a heartbeat and we'll figure it out. And that's just what we do. I mean, that's what we do. We figure it out. It should be the tagline of the company, but you know, it doesn't. I don't know if that goes so well. Misti Media, we figure it out. So I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at. We got a solid week coming up where everything that's on the backlog and I mean original backlog, so like stuff from the first year and a half, all that stuff goes into production. Everything else gets slotted for production, and we get 25 to 30 books out before the end of the year. And just figure it out. We just do it and figure it out. So, and that's where we're at. And you know, it's a great position to be in. I was finally able to make progress with Overdrive for our direct account. We are now direct with Overdrive, which means that we have better visibility with the libraries and the retailers than if we were distributing through Ingram, which we were anyway. But now we have better visibility because we're through Overdrive directly. We actually, within 2 weeks of having the first batch of books upload to Overdrive, we already had sales. Thank you. If you guys saw my posts from Misti Media or from my personal page, thanking the libraries that had picked up Marilyn's titles. You know, it's huge and it allows us to participate in promotions that we wouldn't get to participate in otherwise because they're not open to people that aren't working directly with Overdrive. So it opens up more doors for my authors, and you know, it's a big deal. And meanwhile, you know, God knows the authors are busy breaking down doors. I mean, Gerald's everywhere at the moment. With on vacation. I mean,
I can't go on social media without Gerald popping up.
Right, which is awesome.
All over my...
I mean, that's a publisher's dream, right? To have authors that go out and stump for their books. Like, I mean, that is the publisher dream right there. You know, Teresa and her team with First Comes Love, Then Comes Murder. That book just continues to truck along. And Teresa, I mean, I did an interview with her. I mean, she is just one hell of a promoter. She just never stops. And that's you know, we have a fairly new author over at Nazca, James Prosser. You know what? He was new to having to do promotion. Walt sat down with him and said, "Here's what I need you to do to be successful." And Jim just said, "Okay, you got it. I'll do it." So I mean, it's the best thing that we're able to. We've got all these folks that are like, "Yep, we get it. We understand it." And every single anthology, we have a rarity in the industry in that just about every single anthology we've published has been profitable, and that is just unheard of. And that is a lot in tribute to the authors that supported the anthologies and continued to support the anthologies after they were released. So that goes a long way. If you've got the author support, I can only do so much, and but as long as the authors continue to support, it's a really big deal. So yeah, we've got so many anthologies from Michael and Dawn and Kevin Tipple. For those of you that have known Kevin has been a legend in the book reviewing world and short mystery fiction. He had come to me with an idea. Well, actually, I stole the idea off his Facebook page a few years back for Santa Rage because I just thought it was brilliant. And I took care of editing it the first year, and then we were going to do a sequel, and I didn't have the time, and we canceled the sequel. And I really wanted it again for this year, so I approached Kevin. I was like, "Look, I need somebody to do it, and it makes the most sense for you to do it. You've reviewed thousands of anthologies over your time. Santa Rage was your idea to begin with. Why don't you run with it as editor?" And I'm pretty sure it's the first time Kevin's ever been given the ability to edit his own anthology. And he kept telling me, he kept saying, I needed therapy, that clearly I needed to see a doctor. Was Michael Bracken kidnapped and therefore unable to do the anthology? And I was
he's too busy doing others.
Right. And so I was like, look, you know what? I firmly believe in putting the right people in the right place at the right time. And I have every bit of confidence that Kevin's going to crank out, a really amazing anthology and I'm really happy to be able to give somebody a voice, somebody that hasn't been given the opportunity before to have their own anthology. You know what? He's got the chops. He's got the knowledge. Why not?
And I had a story that I wanted to submit to the first one. I couldn't get it to gel. I just couldn't get it to gel. And actually, it was turning into a novel. But Kevin was posting on Short Mystery Fiction E-List the other day, answers to people's questions about that. And they're sparking ideas in my brain going, oh, okay. So that's how I can make this story work, because I'll cut away that part and that part. But I'll save this part and I'll add that little spark that he just mentioned. And it's percolating now. It's percolating.
He's really, really talented, and he's there's a great line from Pretty Woman where she's sitting there having breakfast with Edward, and he says to her, "I think you have a lot of special qualities." And she says, "Did you ever notice that after a while with people telling you the bad things, that the bad things become easier to believe?" And I feel like that's what's happened with Kevin, is that people were down on him so long when he was president of Short Mystery, and on for so many other things. I don't think anybody ever recognized just how much talent the guy has, and he started himself that he didn't have that talent. And then lately, he's been showing up in more and more anthologies and magazines. I think I just saw a note in Short Mystery that he got a big publication for one of his stories, and I was like, "Good, this is what authors deserve, right? I mean, authors deserve to know that they have value."
He keeps winning that one big award
the
reviewer blog thing.
Yep, the Critter Poll year every single year, Predators and Editors. That best review site. Yep. So I'm giving him a chance, and I told him, look, you're not alone. The whole point of me being at the top of the food chain is to help train the people that are, you know, a little further down the food chain on how to be best at what they do. And so I'm giving him a lot of leeway to put together his, you know, he gets to pick the stories, but he knows that if he needs any help, then he can call on me at any time to not do his job for him, but to certainly coach him and, you know, hopefully make him understand that I have 100% faith in him being able to do it. You know, we turned out four new submission four new calls for submission. And I had a couple people say to me, well, with everything you have waiting to come out, why were you doing calls for submission? And I was like, well, all of these will be coming out next year. So that's the idea.
Can't stop. We have to keep looking ahead.
And a lot of it is for Sandy. Sandy did not want me to give up anthologies. She was a giant champion of anthologies. They're fun as hell to do. And you know, I had made a promise to her. And a lot of what drives me right now are the things that Sandy and I discussed, that, you know, I've committed to paper, that, you know, I took notes on her ideas and the things she had. And I mean, she and I spent a lot of time building this company before we ever opened the doors. I mean, I had a lot of downtime where I was on an NDA and a non-compete and wasn't allowed to open a publishing house. And but she
let me have opinions.
But she and I spent a lot of time during that time planning what were we going to do, what were we going to make it look like, how was it going to work in a way that that accomplished all the things that I had wanted to do at Untreed Reads and couldn't, and all the things that she had always wanted to try and couldn't.
Well, that explains why when you open the doors, it came out like fully formed, like Athena.
Right. And it made it so much easier to hit the ground running, because Sandy and I had discussed so much already with what we were going to do. I mean, and I still have I still have 3 pages of notes here of other projects that she and I were going to implement. You know, and the sad part of all this was Sandy was going to take over White City Press. It was supposed to be hers. I was going to hand her the keys to, like I told her, she was going to get the keys to the kingdom, because I mean, White City Press is the biggest imprint we have at the moment. And so much of it she helped build. And I was like, it's a no-brainer to put her in charge of White City Press. And with her gone, all of a sudden I was like, damn, I don't know of anybody that has the time to commit to it and is willing to work for crap pay for right now, to do it.
You know what? It just dawned on me. I think Sandy was telling me they're going to show up, getting choked up. But right now, Sandy is looking for someone, going to tap them on the shoulder. No, here, you'll hear about them. I see it.
She's going to be that subtle and only tap on the shoulder.
Well,
that wouldn't be like Sandy. She'd be like browbeating them and interrupting their sleep.
Yeah. Kick them in the ass. Yeah, I know. I was just trying to. And I worked in radio for 33 years. On radio, you always had to, there's certain words you couldn't say.
Yeah.
And the 7 words of George Carlin. I love that man. But you also had to be careful of other things, like talking about kicking someone in the ass. Technically wasn't one of those words. So anyway, yeah. Old habits die hard. But yeah, she's she's teamed up with my friend Jack, I think, because I just feel them looking over me going, we're going to get you working. We're going to get you writing lots of stuff.
I mean, there isn't a day that goes by where I don't, every single day I wish I could talk to Sandy, especially with all the great stuff that's been happening over the course of the last few months. I've wanted
Mhm.
more than ever for Sandy to be here for all of it, to see what she helped grow, to see what she could, how much of this is because of the conversation she and I had. So again, there's going to be this part of me that keeps everything moving because, yeah, Lori says me too. Yeah. There's always going to be a part of Sandy that keeps driving me forward.
Mhm.
But it's my authors. It's my authors that keep driving me forward. I'm passionate, and I mean really passionate, about taking care of my authors and making sure that they're happy and that they don't feel they've made a mistake and they don't feel taken advantage of. And I want them to feel like they always have a home at Misti Media and that somebody's always going to care. Somebody's always going to take care of them. That somebody genuinely gives a crap about them and their careers and their books. And, will I ever be the publishing house where, publishers are making, authors are making millions of dollars? Yeah, probably not. But that's okay too. As long as you're always honest with folks about that, then honesty is everything. Uh, Always play in the truth sandbox, never in the lying one. So that's kind of what I wanted to kind of get. I realized I did all the talking, but I had hello Jennifer. I realized I did all the talking this time around. I feel bad, Linda. Normally normally I can get you snuck in, but there was so much going on that
Yeah, no,
that really
I
too.
I feel like I was here. I don't feel like don't feel like I was just a silent lump over here. I feel like I had some. I feel like Sandy's glaring at me. But yeah, no, I feel like this is all
the
important
only
stuff. And
the only thing I wanted to cover was this thing from the Authors Guild today that just absolutely made my head spin, which was I came across an article that the Authors Guild put out a statement basically blaming libraries for poor author sales, for author sales going lower, for author sales being lower. They put it basically all on libraries and people checking books out. And I mean, my head just spun because I was like, you guys have fucked over libraries. All those big pubs have fucked over libraries for years and years with these ridiculous lending things. So what a lot of people don't know is, and happy to inform our audience, the big publishers have a limit on the number of times a book can be checked out of the library before the library must replace it. So because
yeah, like the electrons wear
right,
out or something.
right.
Yeah,
So
and the libraries are paying big bucks.
So we're talking like, when a library buys a paperback, for example, to put on their shelf, these big publishers are telling them how many times they're allowed to check it out before they must remove it from the shelf and buy a new copy. And in ebook, it's even worse. So in ebook, they're charging these ridiculous prices for ebooks and still limiting the libraries on how many times they can check out the ebook. And I mean, I'm happy to say that in 15 years, I have never done that to a library. And one of the main reasons I don't worry about that is because Overdrive, which is the biggest library vendor, but then also Hoopla, which would arguably be the second biggest library vendor, they both have a program where they pay per checkout. So as Lori adds, or how many copies they're allowed to purchase. Yeah, and some libraries get better deals because, hey, we're big. We're the New York Public Library versus like the Henderson Public Library that doesn't have a big enough consortium to even get visited by some of these publishers selling their books. But I mean, it just blows my mind because with Overdrive and Hoopla, even if they don't buy the book from me, there's several different business models, one of which includes pay per checkout. So Hoopla, every time somebody checks out one of our books to read at Hoopla, the author gets paid. Now, that's crazy, right? I mean, it's not a lot of money, but if it was checked out a lot, Lori, Libby is Overdrive. Yep, they are one and the same. Libby is basically the reading software portion of Overdrive. So, this is Charles says there was a homeless guy in San Francisco that liked my books and emailed me regularly with his critiques. He could never afford to buy a book and only got them at the library. That's why we have libraries. Exactly. And it's funny because you never hear these big publishers complain about the used book market, where an author doesn't get a dime from the same book changing hands 3, 4, 5 times between people, where only the bookstore is the one making the money and the author and the publisher don't make a dime anytime that book is resold. I have zero problems with libraries checking my books out to multiple people. Why? Because if they bought the book outright, then my authors and I got a royalty from the first time the book was sold. We wouldn't be able, I can't control, if Joe Schmo goes to Amazon and buys a book, I can't do anything about what happens after he's bought that book any more than what I could do with a library once they buy the book. So why complain about the libraries if you're not going to complain about Joe Schmo going out and doing what he wants to with the book afterwards? And I have seen repeatedly, I will argue to my deathbed, that libraries and librarians have done more for my books and my authors than bookstores have. They have been the first ones to support the books. They're the first ones to ask for author signings. Take care, Leslie. And yes, you have a great holiday too. But I mean, it made the top of my head want to blow off when I saw that, because like, how do you not understand how vital to the publishing ecosystem libraries and librarians are and the reading public? If the same thing is true during any time of economic crisis. So it was true in the Great Depression. It was early in the 1900s when we had the stock market crash there. The one thing is always true: entertainment is always the one thing that people turn to in times of despair. Like COVID, during 2020 was one of the best years ever for Untrade Reads, because everybody was staying home and reading, right? But when people don't have money to buy books, especially when you're being ridiculous and charging $9.99 and $12.99 and $14.99 for an ebook, gee, I wonder why they're going to go to the library to go check out the ebook. I wonder why they're going to, when you're charging $35 and $45 for your print book, gee, I wonder why somebody who can't even afford gas or groceries is going to go to the library and check out the book. And now they may have discovered an author that they've never discovered before. And now they will go back and find the other books by that author. But to sit there and say that, to lay the blame at the feet of libraries for why author royalties are down. No, you know what? We got publishers making bad decisions and bad calls, not investing in their authors after publication. They'll give them like a month after the publication and they'll never do anything for that book again.
And the author royalties are just, from the big publishers, are teensy little
crap percentages. I mean, we offer a pretty damn good rate on print compared to what Katie used to tell me, from the publisher she had worked with on royalties for print. And I just don't get it. I just honestly don't. You should be grateful for wherever that sale is coming from. And whether that's through a library, whether that's through a bookstore, whether that's directly from your website, which is the best of all,
libraries actually grow readers, because story time teach kids that books are cool and fun and great and exciting. And I run into people that are now 20 some years old that came to my story time at the library with my children's picture book 20 some years ago. And they come and they say, "Oh, that's my favorite book. I still have it. Look." And one of them brought it to my English class that I was teaching. Look.
And wow. if you think about it, all the best arguments where people go in and complain about banned books, it's never because they went into their Barnes and Noble and found a book on the shelf at Barnes and Noble that they found offensive. It's they went into their local library or the school library and found the book because the library was doing exactly what they were supposed to. The library was
the community.
Correct, making everything accessible to their community, which is the whole point of a public library. The keywords right there, public, you know.
Yep.
I mean, banned books is a whole other topic, but you know, Michael says negotiating for mutual gain is a lost artwork. Yeah, absolutely. And so like I said, it just blew my head off because I can't think of any group of people that have been more supportive of publishing and suffered more as a result of it than libraries and librarians. I mean, the ridiculous things they have to put up with to provide materials to their community and tailor, and how hard they work to tailor their books to their community. You know, I think about all the inner city libraries and everything they've done to try to really create community-based book lists. You know, what does our community in the inner city want to read? It's not the same thing as what Karen and Chad want to read out in the suburbs. You know, it's a completely different it's a completely different thing. So having people with that kind of knowledge and to tailor it, you should be rewarding that. You should be rewarding that and not punishing them for doing what's right. It just makes me nuts. Lori says the evil board of supervisors in Fresno are wanting to privatize our libraries so they can control what's in them. Yeah. We're
having similar issues with the libraries up here.
Really, even in Reno?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The board of trustees issues and.
Oh my gosh, June White is in the chat, folks. June White is logging in from Australia. That is.
What time is it there? Jeez.
Yeah, really,
like
June.
4 in the morning or something?
Oh my God! Well, I was thinking, what good grief? What time is it down there in down under, Lady June? Oh my God, so good to see you. I love you to pieces. June has also been with me for since almost day one at Untreed Reads back in the day, and she just submitted. I'm happy to say I just received a new manuscript from June. It's the first one, first new book June has put out in a very long time, and a sequel to a romance work she had done previously. She's mostly known as a mystery author. But there's another case. Sandy was working with June on this and really pushing her to get it done and get it out. And, June even mentioned that in her email to me with the manuscript. So I'm always excited to have something new from June. And she's kind of all alone there down in down under. I think she's my only Australian author. So it's always awesome to have her around and to have something new. Wow. And just like that, we're like already, if anybody out there has any questions, by all means, we've been so harsh about cutting things at that 1 hour mark, but we had a lot to go over tonight. But if there's anybody that's got any questions about publishing, what's going on in publishing, what's going on with Misti Media, by all means, please feel free to ask. We were streaming live today on both Facebook and YouTube. So if anybody, I see we've got 2 people watching on Facebook, and wow, got some good numbers looking at us from YouTube also, which I very much appreciate.
Nice.
For those of you that are, we're having this really cool crossover in the chat tonight. You folks will see there's people like, here that like Michael Bracken, Leslie Deal, June White. Those are all Misti Media authors, but then you have wonderful people like Jennifer Hayes, Angry Outer Music. These folks are part of the reseller community that we're also a part of, who have been enormously supportive of everything we do here at Misti Media. We appear on Johnny Cajun Resellers Train Shop Hop each month, and we will be on it again in July. We had to take a hiatus for June, but in July we'll be back on that on July 18th. I believe 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, so 1:30 p.m. Pacific. We do ours live, and so that's going to be Reich Spoor is going to be my guest interviewee. There's also a brand new show coming to this channel. It's called The Night Shift with Jay Hartman, and it's aimed at all of you solopreneurs, all of you authors that work best at night. Basically, think of it as Misti Media after dark. It's going to be a place for people to congregate, talk about what it's like to, the trials and tribulations of running their own business in today's age. It's a place of support to be able to come and ask questions and get help with your writing, get help with your publishing, get help with your retail, whatever it is that's currently driving you and driving your passion. We'll have drop-in guests every once in a while coming by to talk about what they're doing. I've got some interesting folks lined up from the reseller community, but also from the publishing community, and some people from very much outside of both of those communities that I think are valuable and kind of inspirational. So the Night Shift is coming in July. Look for that. I believe we debut live. I think that's going to be the second week of July, if I'm not mistaken. And kind of think of it like a late night talk show. Since we don't have Colbert anymore, I guess I'll have to take his spot and do our own talk show. So the Night Shift.
Hey,
the Night Shift.
maybe you can get him as a guest. I mean, he's showing up in that little public radio, public television.
Yeah,
station.
which is awesome. We do. I do have some really cool folks lined up from, and I've got some really positive feedback from some celebrities that I've been able to make contact with that are interested in coming and appearing on the show.
Barry Manilow, he's right there.
He's on my dream list. So the Night Shift is going to debut in July. That'll be the new show from us. Take care, Michael Bracken. Have yourself a good night, my friend. And we'll have some other new shows debuting in August because in what time is it? It's 6:15. In 5 hours and 45 minutes, I officially take over as the new president of Writers and Publishers Network, which is a fantastic nonprofit organization geared at author and publisher education, as well as members of cover designers and proofreaders and everything else. But I officially take over as president here at midnight, July 1st, bringing a whole lot of changes to that organization and expanding out. But part of that will roll into the Misti Media YouTube channel, and some of it will roll into the WPN, the WPN's YouTube channel, which doesn't exist yet, but will be coming. There's going to be a lot of crossover between the two, just because we share an equal interest. So lots of educational stuff coming, some great opportunities for folks on either side to be able to be a part of things on the other side. So yeah, who needs sleep? It's completely overrated.
Hey, I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Right. And since you never know when that big old dirt nap's coming, you need to make sure that you're covering as much as you can right now. So yeah. Again, it's I kind of disappeared for a while there after Sandy passed, but I need to get my head on. I need to figure out how to take things forward. And we've covered a lot of other sort of general topics, but first and foremost, this channel is Misti Media, and it's a place for my authors. Michael says, "Sleep? What's that?" First and foremost, it's always a meeting place for Misti Media and its authors, and to know what's going on with our company and to share that with the public. Because if you're not transparent with the public too, then what are you doing? You know, what job are you doing?
Mhm.
Miss Linda, what got anything? I again feel bad. This became kind of the whole Jay show tonight, but there was so much information to get out there.
Yeah, yeah.
But what do you have going on, kid? Tell the nice people what you got.
Well, up here in northern Nevada, we have Art Town. The month of July has always been for the arts. They originally had it be like performing arts and fine arts. Well, the writing community, we muscled our way in. We have some writing community things going on, and that new movie, The Odyssey, or the classic book written by Homer. That new movie we are doing, our writers group here is partnering with the theater, and we're going to be at the premiere of it and have tables and talk about the movie and books and that book and Emily Wilson's wonderful translation of Homer's Odyssey that is just mind-blowingly better than anything else, any other one. Anyway, so things like that going on, and like I said, I'm kind of getting back into the writing after some writer's block issues.
And you've got an event coming up, don't you, where you're going to be actually promoting your books?
Yeah, and two of the Art Town ones, I'm going to be there promoting and selling my books. One of them is at this big public market that's like little stores and little restaurants, you know, all local stuff, and we'll have a bunch of local authors there with tables selling books and talking. Had just what was it, last week, or I have no sense of time. Had the book fest on the streets of downtown Sparks, and had a great time until everything blew away because we were having the Washoe Zephyr, you know, blew down everybody's pop-up canopies, and we had to leave early, but we still got out to a lot of readers, a lot of local readers and book lovers. And so there's other stuff like that going on because we've got a good writing community up here, and we're muscling writing into we're muscling the literary arts into all of the arts. And I want to give a shout out to Sierra Arts Foundation because they're the ones that are sponsoring a lot of these things. Big old Arts Foundation. They said, hey, because one of our authors said, hey, you know, and then they talked, and now we have literary arts.
That's awesome. All right, then. I think that's going to pretty much wrap it up for tonight. Thank you all for being here, for sticking around. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please do. And also, please give a thumbs up. We are not monetized. The only way we make money is through the sale of our books. This channel is absolutely free for everybody to be a part of and to enjoy. Again, thumbs up if you could. Recommend us to your friends. We just crossed 300 subscribers this morning. Thank you very much. That is a big deal. We're on our way to got to hit 1,000. We're on our way to 1,000. That's the goal. I have no idea if we can hit that before the end of the year, but I would love it if we somehow manage to do that. The only way to do that, though, is for you to tell all your friends all about us and doing the wacky stuff over here, talking about publishing. But again, folks, thank you very much for all your support. Thanks for coming out here every 2 weeks to see Linda and I do our thing and catch you up on what's going on in the world of publishing. We'll be back in 2 weeks for the next Misti Media Live. We haven't even discussed yet what our topic is, but we'll have something by then for sure. So for now, folks are all part of HBO. Happy book owners. Go out there, read a good book this week. Come back, tell us all about it next week. And
actually, we'll be back next week because we do the first and the third. And today is a bonus. Today's a bonus.
Bonus. Oh my gosh! All right, so we will be back next week. Yikes! You and I better do some planning, girl.
Yep.
All right, folks. Thank you kindly. We will see you on the next run.